this isn't a rare breed, like with E.T. or Iron Giant or films where you have something that's looks monstrous at first blush, and you come to find out that it's absolutely not what you think it is, and that the monster is really the most beloved thing in the whole, in your world.
Hey there, it's Kristen, and today we are chatting with Under Wraps writer and director Alex Zamm about directing the new DCOM reboot, the changes compared to the original film, and more. This is so exciting because I grew up with the original Under Wraps, and now, to see the first ever DCOM being remade for the first time, like, what does that mean to you to direct that?
I love the original movie. I was a huge fan of it also, and so whenever you're taking on any movie, you feel an enormous responsibility. But when you feel that you're taking on a beloved memory, you doubly treat it with kid gloves. So I'm also just a huge fan of monster movies, and always grew up with supernatural and monster movies. But this isn't a rare breed, like with E.T. or Iron Giant or films where you have something that's looks monstrous at first blush, and you come to find out that it's absolutely not what you think it is, and that the monster is really the most beloved thing in the whole, in your world. So I really wanted to make Harold as complex and rich and fun a character as possible, and really had the opportunity, not only with Phil, who's a fantastic actor and movement and choreographer, but also with the prosthetic makeup which has come a long way since the original, to make a character whose performance is not lost, and that the silicone makeup completely communicates his performance.
I love what you said about that, about, this being a story that kind of takes a twist that you don't expect. This kid loves monsters, and, normally you meet a monster and that's not a good thing, but this time it is, and it's
Yes.
Everything this kid has always dreamed of, which I think is so much fun. I'm curious, did you have to change anything, or was there anything that you wanted to change or add, to make this film different from that original movie?
Well, there's always things that you encounter, just that by the nature of the time passing, that language, vehicles, hairdos, clothing, all those things change. But I saw there was, I just loved the first one. So I just said, let me just do my own riff on it, the way someone might riff on a song or a play and do their modern version or a different version, just different, not better, worse. I saw there was an opportunity to keep Kubot more active in the story. In the first one, it's really cool that he fakes his own death and he disappears for a chunk of the movie, and they don't know where he is. And then suddenly, boom, he shows up, and now he becomes a threat. I went for a slightly different approach, which was that he is a detective of his own, the way the kids are detectives, trying to follow the breadcrumbs of why is Harold alive? Why is he here? How do we get him back? And how do we prevent the bad guys from getting him? So I thought there was an opportunity to have a really fun threat of having Kubot be active throughout, following who stole my mummy, time pressure on him to get it before the buyer backs out of the deal. And so he becomes a really fun, active threat. And it gives Harold a chance to display his loyalty to the kids when he picks up the bad guys and flings them around. And we start to see that even though he's an innocent and a fish out of water, when it comes to his friends, you don't mess with them.
I also love how inclusive this cast is. How did you find your leads?
We had a really extensive search. It really was. And I went with the approach that we were writing dynamics, so that it wasn't about gender, it wasn't about ethnicity, it was about dynamics. One character's really adventurous, one character's really a little more fearful, one's brainy and smart and can do, which is Amy. And we played had different actors play different roles. So there's a number of boys who auditioned for the role which became Amy, and we had a number of women audition for the other role. So we played it out quite a few ways to see which characters had the chemistry. But I really, as did Disney and the producers, we just want to make a better world. So the same way that I really hope that people look at this world and go, the things that are fearful, maybe are different, should be looked at with an open mind. I think that anybody, we could change the roles around. Normally, even something as simple as Ravensworth could have been a man, could have been a woman, but we just said, let's constantly challenging ourselves to just let the best actor play the role.
you have had such a long career working on a lot of different types of projects, but especially ones for children. So how do you capture, a horror or a monster type story for kids?
Capturing a supernatural story for kids is such an interesting balancing act, because you want to do things that are spooky and tingle your spine, but you don't want to end up sleeping in your parents' bed again. So I think that for me, I'm always in touch with my inner 10-year-old. And I remember all childhood indelibly. So it's quite easy for me to go to that place and go, this is too scary. This is not scary enough. I wanted people to really genuinely be scared when they saw Harold. But to quickly find out, to let them snuggle up with whoever they're watching the movie with, but then to let them off the hook quickly and realize, okay, maybe I thought a little differently about him. So I'm constantly calibrating how far to go with the scares. And I hope people are a little spooked, but not terrified.
What do you hope that young people take away from this story?
I hope that when anybody watches this movie, young, old, in between, that they have a sense of the importance of allowing yourself to have new perspectives. That's really what it is. And I think it's true for all the characters. Harold is a catalyst character for all these kids in the movie to have new perspectives. Amy didn't want to live in this town. By the end, she finds she has friends. Gilbert's terrified and realizes, maybe I can confront my fears and be brave. Marshall rejects his mom's boyfriend and finds out that there's opportunity for a better and bigger family in his life. And Harold is the catalyst for it all. He's a scary character to them who becomes their best friend.
What's also so fun about the story is we wrap up in a way where there's still kind of questions about there's this other mummy, there's all these things that you could continue a story. Would you ever want to do something like that?
I think it's fun when you leave room at the end of a movie for the audience to conjecture what they would like to see. It tells you that the world is bigger than the movie, and if it's not wrapped up entirely in a bow, I mean, Kubat could come back. Harold could come out of that coffin again. I love open-ended stories because it allows you to imagine your own version of the story.
Down the line, you decide you want to make a whole new story with, Harold and his wife and little maybe mummy babies. I would definitely watch it.
I'm going to take note. That's a great idea for the sequel. Little mummy babies. That'd be great. Kristen,
Yes.
It's so pleasure to meet you, and I'm so happy you enjoyed the movie, and I hope it stands up proudly next to your beloved first one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Congratulations and thank you again. If you guys like this one, you can check out more of my interviews right over here, and I'll catch you next time.